ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. Um, Thank you. My name is Nina, and I'm the Assistant Director of the Tulane Alumni Career and Professional Development Office. So I just want to mention a few housekeeping things before I hand it off to Qi. Um, please introduce yourselves in the chat and let us know where you're joining from. I always love to just kind of see where people join from, whether it's like worldwide or just all over the States or whatever. This session is being recorded and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. I will drop that in the chat in a second. We have over 60 past sessions, past professional development series sessions that are recorded and uploaded there. So if you'd like to be notified when new recordings are uploaded, you can subscribe to our channel. But you can check out some of our other videos there. So our topic for today is winning strategies for working and parenting. As you can see, we have Qi Wiggins leading us in today's session. And if you have any questions throughout, you can put them in the chat and we'll circle back to them at the end. And yeah, I'm just so excited to have Qi with us. So I'm just going to hand it off to Qi and have her introduce herself. Thanks, everybody.
Hello. It's good morning for you all. I live in London, and so it's 6 p.m. here, so it's like pitch black. And so I had to like keep telling myself, say good morning, say good morning. So good morning to you guys. My name is Qi Wiggins. I graduated from Tulane. When I started Tulane, it was University College. And then when I graduated, it was the School of Continuing Studies. So So I graduated from Tulane with my MLA in 2008, and my concentration was in rhetoric. So I can become a better liar is kind of what I tell people, but no, not really. Discourse is wonderful, and we should have a command on that language. And so we should have a command on our lives as well. And so I was in the workforce for about 20, 21 years, and over time, I needed to redirect my life from when I started working to when I started working and parenting. And so I think I've developed some ways that could assist you all in being a working parent. If they don't work, let me know, but they did work for me. So I'll just dive into winning strategies for working and parenting. And so the agenda, um, I'll take it 3 bullets: understanding your role, fostering an environment for success, and managing expectations. Um, and so understanding your role. Who are you? Who am I? Am I a parent? Am I a mother? Are you a father? Or are you an employee? Are you a manager? What are you? You are both. People forget that. People sometimes think that I can only be one. I can only do one. There will only be one. There are no Highlanders here. You can be both. You can be the parent and the employee. And so the beauty of being a parent and employee is that you have the privilege of raising your families while pursuing your career goals. And so you have to always kind of have this my mother used to say, she would say, split your brain. And so I think that was her way of trying to communicate left and right brainness. So you have to become both, and how to do that is seeing yourself as both people at the same time. And it's difficult because sometimes work can be overwhelming. I remember when I was working, I used to work for Shell Oil. And when I was working for Shell Oil, I was pregnant. And we had a major project that was due. And I could already feel the stress of becoming a parent while working. And I was neglecting myself as a pregnant person trying to do this job. And one of the ladies in the office, she came to me because I guess it was like 8 o'clock at night. And she was like, why are you still here? And I was like, oh, I have to finish this project. This project has to be done. And then so she said, she held my hands and she said, and you have to rest because you are carrying a baby. And that's when it dawned on me that I have to learn how to be both. There is a cutoff time, right? So we have to create a cutoff time from when we're being the employee and then we have to turn on the switch when we're being the parent and vice versa. And so I always, after that encounter, remember that your family is your first job. Uh, that's why it matters. That's why you work. That's why you go to school if you're not working, or if you're a student and a parent. That's why you do it. Your family comes first. That's your first job, your first priority, obviously after you, but it's your family. And so you want to ensure that you are the best, optimal for them, because if you're not the best for them, then you will not be the best at work. And so you have to, create those proper balances and set boundaries for both your family and your career. I remember uh, I, as the woman, I think sometimes we take on a lot of the child rearing responsibilities. That is my opinion. It's not quite based on a lot of fact, but I think a lot of studies show that women are the main caregiver of the family. And so I had got overwhelmed one day, and I told my husband, I said, I need help. And he was like, I can help you. So we have to sometimes ask for what we need and set those boundaries. And you know what I needed help with? I needed him to make sure dinner was prepared twice a week. And I was like, can you just do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays? I can still do it. And he was like, fine, that's fine. And so I needed that boundary set where I didn't have to feel like I had to work and be the parent, the mother, and all of the societal motherly duties that was associated with being the mother. And so I had to set those boundaries. So then, we got together, and I was like, well, Tuesdays and Thursdays, that's his dinner day, which was pizza, which I didn't care. But he provided dinner, and he had a salad. He would go buy a bag salad. He'd buy a bag salad, and he had it for the girls. And it worked because he did dinner. And so it was a healthy dinner, healthy-ish. They had a salad. And so it was a great opportunity for me to set that boundary. The same with work. And I had to tell my manager, look, I'm not doing late nights anymore. If it is a major, necessary project, then I understand, and then I can plan for that. But if it's not, if it's a regular day, there's no need for me to stay at work past 6 o'clock. And so there's a boldness in being able to be both the parent and the employee. You have to kind of conjure up that confidence where you can go out and do it. My youngest is really into Wicked, so I apologize if a lot of my stuff are Wicked references, because she's just constantly playing that soundtrack all the time, and I'm just going to steal from it. You just got to defy gravity, right? And you have to become bigger than who you are, and let people know. And so there's a boldness that you have to create within yourself to properly give you the balance between both the parents um, and the employee. And once you find that perfect balance, I think it'll work in your favor for you to continue to keep going as a working parent. And and so how do we do that? After we create our boldness and we defy gravity and all that great stuff, we have to foster an environment for success. And what does that look like? You have to negotiate on behalf of you and your family. So when we would do performance reviews at all of my companies I worked at, but particularly Shell, when we would do performance reviews, we got a bonus. And I would always ask my boss in the performance review, what are other things I can get besides money? And he would always look at me kind of bewildered, and he was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, if I'm doing great, what about negotiating alternative work hours? So at Shell, we work 980s. And I was like, what if my 980 could switch on certain months instead of the Friday. So you work 9 days and then you get every other Friday off, right? And so I was like, what if I can do the 980 on a Monday? So these are things you can ask for that may not be money, but it could be better for you, because in my household, having off on Monday was more efficient time for our family than having off on Friday, because we were coming off the weekend and the weekends were kind of jam packed with stuff. And then if I could just have that Monday off certain times instead of that Friday off, it would work. And so you want to like really look into your company benefits, see if they offer any alternative working hours. I know when I came back from my pregnancy, the company had reduced work time. Now I got reduced pay, but I needed the time more than I needed the money, because Chloe was a preemie, and so she was in the NICU for about almost 3 months, and that kind of ate up my time when I was off, and I really didn't have the baby. The baby was in the hospital, right? And so when it was time for me to go back to work, she ideally really just came home, and so I needed more time. And I did not want to take a full FMLA. I know that's available for everybody, but I kind of still wanted to get paid. And so I discovered through my company benefits that they had reduced work hours. So um, search through your company benefits, look and see what's offered, to see how you can negotiate better time to be with your family and to be at work. And so another example too is managing your career development. I purposely shifted my career to not move into a managerial um, role, and I didn't want to go on that path. And I didn't want to do that because my girls were young, and I wanted to. And this is a personal choice. People have their own choice, but for me, I shifted my career development to be a subject matter expert. So I said, as a manager, that's like way more responsibility that I'm willing to give at this moment in time. And I want to be more on the parent side, but I do want to still be a valued contributor at work. And so, how I discovered that at the company, you could move into this managerial ladder, or you can become this as SME ladder. And I chose to shift myself to a subject matter expert, and then just be the number one person on that subject matter, whatever it was we were doing, in my role, and just be that person. So um when I say, you have to have the balance, you're the parent and the employee, and you have to decide how you're going to manage that. My way of managing that was not to be a manager at the moment. Not that I didn't want to be a manager, and I was very vocal about it. I said, just at this time, at this moment in my career, being a manager is not number one on my list. And so another thing you can do is you can ask your family and friends for help. I know sometimes you think you're all alone, and you sometimes you just have to ask, and we don't ask. I think parents feel like it's their responsibility 100% all alone. This is my family. These are my kids. I must do it. And that's not true. You don't have to do it. I remember one Monday where I didn't take the switch 980. I came into work and I was so tired, and one of the guys, we were in the coffee room. "Oh, Key, you look so tired." And I was like, "Oh man, that hurt my feelings." And he was like, "No, I mean, you look drained." And I was like, "Yeah, I know. Um, this was our weekend to clean the house. And so, he had to clean the house, and my husband and I were," and he was like, "Are you insane?" And I was like, "Well, no, you don't have a clean house." And he laughed at me, and he was like, "No, get a maid." And I was like, "Oh, it's that simple." And it was really that simple. And it wasn't even that expensive in my time was worth more than me taking the 3 to 4 hours, because we had an upstairs house, the 3 to 4 hours of cleaning this house, as opposed to this was back then, the $100 I paid the maid to come and clean the house. It was so much worth it. And so I was grateful that he noticed I was tired, because he gave me great advice. And so I took that to say, um, let's manage how we even do our personal life, and find out ways we can develop better scenarios for ourselves than just um, taking everything on for yourself. And so always use your personal time. Um, Sometimes we get caught up in only using vacation when the children are out of school, and it's not really a vacation, right? It's like in my household, we called it mommy camp. We had mommy camps. And so you have to work out how to give yourself personal time, and how to be there for the children when they're out of school too. One tip is in summer camps, the list or the sign up for summer camps, they always come out at the end of February in every state. February and March. Those are summer camp signups. So if you need summer camp for your child, then be on the lookout. Research the organization you want them to have the summer camp at. And so you can sign up for their mailing list, and they'll let you know when registration opens for summer camp. In New Orleans, I lived in New Orleans, and the Children's Museum was the best summer camp I felt ever, because I worked downtown, and at the time the Children's Museum was downtown. And so I would drop them off and then head on to work. And the Children's Museum, I joined the Children's Museum specifically for the summer camp, because when you're a member of the organization, you get different perks. So you can sign up for the camp earlier than non-members, and you'll always get communicated that the summer camp will open soon. Registration will open soon based on the newsletters. So keep that in mind. You want to have all hands on deck when you're dealing with your family. And so if that means including friends and family that can help you with pickup and drop off, or just when you need a break, because you always need a break. And you always want to have that trusted circle that can assist you in that break. So that's when you need different friend circles. So you can have your good core friends, and then you can have your mommy and me friends, where you are, or daddy and me, I apologize, parents and me friends, where you have this cohort of individuals, and y'all kind of in the same boat. And so you kind of create like this pod of help for one another with the children, so that you know that they will be in a safe environment, and they will be taken care of while you do what you need to do for your job. Another thing is, you cannot negate the company social things. And I know a lot of people do that. So here in London, they always go to the pub. It's like pub day, pub day, pub night, pub night. It's all about the pub. And at the part of the British culture is that your coworkers open up to you when they're at the pub. So after work, people pop into the pub, and it's a big kind of like important social networking aspect of the job. And so I know, as a working parent, uh happy hour after work is not always on the menu, but you need to make time. You are still managing your career, and you are still managing your work relationships, and you want them to always be positive. And so those opportunities, those happy hour opportunities or dinner opportunities, are great ways for you to maintain that connection. You don't have to go to all of them, but you do have to go to at least one, maybe once a month, maybe every 3 months. But that's up to you to negotiate that with your family on how to manage it. But it shouldn't be negated. And I think a lot of people are like, well, no, I have kids. I don't have time for that. I gotta go. I'm not doing that. But there is some benefit. It allows you to get a break. I think as a parent, we all need a break. It allows you to for me, I was caught up in baby talk. The only the only thing I would do after work and is I was it was Paw Patrol, and I was just so done with Paw Patrol. And it was Frozen at the time, and all of my references were just not um age appropriate. And so uh I decided, the next happy hour, I'm going to go to the next happy hour because I think I need age appropriate conversation. So, as a parent, you have to maintain your sanity as well by engaging. I think after work activities help you engage in adult conversation, adult situations, positive situations where you can relax and laugh and have a good time. And so I think that's something you can work out with your spouse, or if you're a single parent, work it out with your friend circle, uh, to make sure that you are getting that benefit, because things happen in happy hour, positive things happen. You may um, have a drink with the CEO. I remember one time we did a happy hour at work, and randomly I was drinking with Rex Tillerson, and it was a fun time. And so that was the one time I decided to go to the happy hour event after work. No one knew he was going to be there, but he was there. And it was a great opportunity to have great conversation with the CEO at the time of ExxonMobil. And so you never know what happens when you take the time to do, the happy hour. And so when you do that, you need to always manage your expectations. I think we can't control all the situations. Things will happen, things will go wrong. Uh, I remember I was giving a speech somewhere, and I had to take Chloe with me to the event, and I just knew I had to set up. I had her with her iPad. She had headphones on. She's about 4. She had headphones on. I sat her on the front row, and Chloe had a full on meltdown in the middle of my speech. And you know what happened? The Wi-Fi wasn't working on the iPad, and so the show wouldn't come on. And so she had a full blown, it was just a mess, right? And so the funny part about it is I did not freak out. I told the audience I have to tend to my 4-year-old because she's having a meltdown. So if you can excuse me for like 5 minutes so I can calm her down, and I will get back to my speech. And you know what? The audience started clapping because I was honest and I was realistic, and she's a child and I can't control her. And it still didn't work out right. She wouldn't act right. She wound up sitting on the stage with me while I gave my speech, and I just gave my speech, and it was fine. And so I think we have to expect a problem will occur and just manage how we will address that situation. Admit when you need help. It's okay to need help. It's okay. If it's your manager, I need help. If it's your spouse, I need help. If it's a family member, if it's a friend, it's okay to say, I need help. And when you get that help, make the change. If this change works, if this change don't work, make the change and always reevaluate what you're doing. Is this working? I used to always take the time, and every 6 months I would go through the process of, now this is our schedule. Does this really work for the family? Are we doing the best thing possible? When the girls got older, I told them we are a one activity family. I did not have the capacity with work and being a parent of having them in all of the Carrollton sports. Like you couldn't, they want, no basketball and football, flag football, or field hockey, or ballet, or gymnastics. No, piano playing. No. I say, girls, we're gonna pick one thing, one thing. And that's how we managed that expectation. It was ballet, which ironically the girls loved, and then they hate it, and none of them are doing ballet today. But that was the one they picked. And just because we picked the ballet, that did not mean that that's where they'll be forever. The oldest is a freshman studying theater, so I believe that the ballet assisted her in that. And Chloe is she's a budding tennis star, and the best thing that her coaches say, even here in England, is that she has great feet. She has great movement. So, just because it's the one thing, it doesn't have to be the forever thing. And yes, they will change as they get older, and then I can manage that. But when they're younger, no, we did the one thing. So that's what I did. I could not do all of the lessons, all of the activities. We picked the one. So always listen to your children. If they're saying something, like for me, Paige told me one day, she said, I miss you. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm here. And at the time I was traveling a lot. And she was like, no, you're here like on Wednesday and Thursday. And so I had to hear that. And I was like, oh, she means I'm traveling a lot. So she thinks I'm not here. And so how can I be more present for her so I can be there? Because if she thinks I'm not here, then I'm not there. So listening to your kids when they say things, and they won't say it outright, so it'll be subtle, and making sure you reevaluate and make that change. And then understand your employer. Um, so children get sick, right? And so they get sick, and they never get sick at the best times. And then one will be healthy, and then one will get sick, or both will get sick. And so my girls got sick. They were sick, and they got sick right after each other. So I had to be with one, and then I had to be with the other, and then I got sick. And so my manager, he made a joke. But every joke has a hint of truth, right? And so he's like, I didn't think you were going to work the whole month, because I think with the time, all the sick time, I might have missed like 2 or 3 weeks. And so uh, I said, oh, I apologize for being sick. And he said, no, I'm just teasing, but I am glad that you have processes in place where if you're not in the office, that things will get done. So when I say understand your employer, they want the job done. And you have to understand that. And so you need to have processes in place where no matter what happens, the job gets done. So just like when you're a parent, there isn't a day off from being a parent. You have to manage that. And so we have days off from being an employee, but you have to put processes in place. So when you are off, the job continues to go on. And then accept advice. Take the advice that people give you. And you can take it. And if it's advice that you think will help you make the change and reevaluate your life, as you see fit, then you should take it. And then you can take the advice and you don't have to uh, push it forward in your life. So my grandmother used to say, she'll put it in the spot. The spot was a trash can. So when people would tell her stuff, she would say, and that she didn't like or she didn't want to take it, she's like, "Oh, thank you for that. I'll put it in the spot." So that's what we have to do, right? If it's great advice, keep it. If it's not, put it in the spot. But make sure you are listening, because even if someone's giving you advice that you may not want to hear, you may be able to glean something from it anyway. So I think even when people are providing us with their wisdom, there may be a nugget we can glean from it. And so I just want you to know that's being realistic by being a working parent. You have to understand your role. You have to negotiate how you want to maneuver in your role, and you have to be realistic. Things won't go great, or things may go great. You may have this great plan in place and then it doesn't really pan out. Something happens. And so we have to remember to stay calm, admit help when we need it, reevaluate, and make the change. And so um, I think that's about it. If anybody have any questions they would like to talk about, I can just tell more work stories about one time I had to go into a I worked in public affairs for an oil company, and so we practice on how to do oil spill response, or incident response. It should be oil spill incident response. And so I had to take my girls with me to the conference, to the incident response conference. And I took my mother with me so she could watch them while I told them that we were going on a trip, a fun trip. It was Corpus Christi. We were going on a fun trip. And while I am in a conference, you all can explore the fun town of Corpus Christi. And I looked up all this stuff on Corpus Christi and I kind of sold it to them and they were all excited about it. And then at the same time, I told my employer, I was like, look, I have to take my girls because it's spring break. And my husband, he used to go offshore a lot, so he was offshore, so I had to take the girls with me. And so I was like, they're with me. So every now and then I might dart out of the conference and check on the children. And it was fine. Everybody understood. You set the expectation, you are truthful. I think that's the number one key, to being truthful. Be honest about what your needs are, be honest about what you need to happen in your personal life and to your employer. And I think they will respect that, respect your honesty. Now, will you always have a great, amazing company or a great boss that will understand it? No. And so manage that expectation. You know who your supervisor is, you understand how they operate. Figure out a way to maintain the communications between you two to say, this is what I need to be successful. So there are ways you can present it. So I know these are my performance goals and I will perform and I'll do that. This is what I'll need to help us achieve these performance goals. And I think if you're open and honest, it should be good dialogue and not negative dialogue.
I love that. Thanks, Key. I just wanted to, I have one question. That's why I was just jumping in. Um,
Yes.
and it's more specific to you rather than like a general, but what is your go-to way to like manage stress? Because I feel like a whole kind of like general thing throughout this is like sometimes being very tired, being very stressed. Do you have any like specific ways that you have dealt with stress over the years that are at the office or at the end of the day, finding quiet, whatever it is?
Yes. I would lock myself in the bathroom and take a bath. I did. because the bathroom was the most sacred place in a household when you have children, right? I mean, they still will come in there. But if they knew mommy was in the bath, then I was naked, right? They didn't want to see me naked. So that was my go-to. But in there, in the bathroom, I would listen to music. I would read. Oh man, it would be like an hour and a half long bath. I would be in there. So and so that was my go-to spot. I would sometimes drink. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I have a glass of wine and it's just one glass. And that was my de-stressor because at the same time I would rejuvenate my body, right? It would be like my little mini spa. I would rejuvenate my body. I would rejuvenate my mind, whether I was reading or listening to music, right? Or I was relaxing if I had a glass of wine. And so that's how I managed stress.
I love
That's
that. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
Um,
just like that. Children
I'd
don't
love
want to
to
see you
hear.
naked.
They don't want to see you like that. I love that. If you have any more stories that you would like to share, I know I'm very much enjoying that. So if you have anything else to share, we have a little
Yes.
bit more time.
Uh, so when I was pregnant, this will be funny. I went into labor at work. And so when I was pregnant, it was funny because Chloe came early, and so she was very early. And we have on the floor, we have like floor wardens where if you have like an emergency, you're supposed to go to the warden and they like help work you through that emergency. And and I told them, I was like, look, guys, I'm pregnant, so as a joke before this happened, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go into labor and then, we need to know who the warden is. And it's like, oh no, we got you. So I went into labor at work. And at first I didn't understand what was quite going on. And but then I realized, I think I'm in labor. And I kind of sat at my desk for like an hour in labor. And I was like, maybe I should instruct my floor warden what I'm going through. And this is bad advice. Don't do what I did. I didn't listen to anything I was trying to tell you guys. So the floor warden at the time, he was a guy and he was in a meeting with the vice admiral of the Coast Guard. And I didn't know that. So I knocked on the door and I was like, hey, do you have a moment? And he said, well, I'm in the meeting with the vice admiral. Is everything okay? And I said, oh yeah, it's good. Oh, okay, I'll just come and find you when um when you finish your meeting. But everybody knew I was pregnant. And he says, no, what do you need? It's because you're asking me, you're coming to the floorboard, and what do you need? I said, I think I'm going in labor. But you just gone back to your important meeting. So that was me not managing expectations, right? This was I was more thinking about, oh, he's in this important meeting. I don't want to bother him. Let me leave him alone. But no, I was pregnant and I was going into labor early, 3 months early. And so it was the best thing ever. So he screamed and he was like, ah, oh my God. And so the vice admiral, he jumped up and he was like, what's going on? He's like, she's having the baby. And they were like, Qi, this is not something you should say. Never mind. This is something you should say. You should say, I'm in labor. And then it just became like a big deal. They called my husband. Shell had a health unit inside One Shell Square at the time. And so they got a wheelchair. They wheeled me to Shell Health. It was a big spectacle when Leonard they wheeled me downstairs and they were like, go straight to the hospital. It was it was kind of funny now that you look back on it. But I erred because I thought I was bothering work by telling them I was going into labor because I felt that this was an important meeting that I didn't want to interrupt. So that's an example of not doing what I did, understanding who you are and managing your work-life balance to make sure that when it's an emergency, it's an emergency, and work can understand. And that's what our floor warden, he was like, Key, in the future, this work is not that important. You are important. And so that's great advice. Work is not that important. You are important. And so that's why your first responsibility is to you and your family, and to make sure that you guys are safe and secure. And then you can worry about work. And I know people don't like to admit that, but it's the truth. You can worry about work because you won't be optimal if you are not um, sustained at home and individually within who you are. It won't work. And so no one wants that person at work. They're not happy. They're stressed all the time. They're not enjoying where they are. And so that makes for contention and just unpleasant work environments. And sometimes it might be you. It might be you that's making it unpleasant. And so that's why you have to always kind of reevaluate, what am I doing? Is this is the way is the road I'm on the best path to follow for my work-life balance? And I think that's just the best way to go.
Thank you for sharing that, Key. I think we have a question from Julie. I see that she raised her hand.
Hi,
Okay.
yes. Yes, thank you so much. I've been
Yeah.
listening with great interest because I'm currently on maternity leave with my
Ah,
first child, and I'm planning to go back.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. And she's sleeping on my lap right now. But I'm getting ready to go back after about like 14 weeks of leave.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if you have any experience doing work from home or hybrid work. And if you do have that experience, what kind of like challenges did you face or strategies did you use? Because I've heard that there are pros and cons when
Mhm.
parenting in that space. So I'd love to hear your
Sure.
experience.
Yes. So when I went back to work after having Chloe, I did a reduced work schedule, which basically was a work from home. So I did not, I worked from home on every Monday and Friday, and I took Thursday off. So I kind of just worked in the office on Tuesday and Wednesday. And so my advice from the hybrid, see, they didn't call it that back then. They called it a reduced work schedule because it was reduced because she wasn't in office. So I would say that I took my meetings in the morning because Chloe was an afternoon baby. And she would sleep through the morning, partly because she was I would say the best thing about her being a preemie was that the hospital had her on the schedule. So she had a clear-cut schedule because the hospital will like put you on a schedule based on the nurses, right? And so the baby slept during the day in NICU. So Chloe developed that habit. And so I would take the meetings when Chloe was sleeping. So I would book all of my meetings that I had to do, or anything important I had to block off was the time she was sleeping. So when she was up, I could still work and be a parent. Like you said, she's sleeping on your lap. It's inevitable for you to you have to do mommy things or daddy things while you're working from home when you have a small child. And so the way to alleviate that is to block off some time where you know that the baby's going to be asleep, and that'll be like your good core time to do the work, whether it's the morning or the afternoon or midday, whatever it is. And so I wouldn't have like the crying in the background or the tantrums in the background, because then I knew like the schedule. So that's one tip I would offer up is try and figure out the good time block to make sure you can get the work done while the baby's asleep. Another one was just let people know, be honest. If you are working from home and it's been a rough morning or a rough afternoon, and be honest. You know, you can tell your manager, it'd be like, hey, I'm going through this. Um, I won't be as responsive, but I will get to it. You know, I was honest. And so that's a tip. Obviously, judge it with your manager and with your workplace culture. So I think at Shell, they had a culture of you could be honest with your manager to let them know what was going on. But you obviously have to judge that with your own, what's your workplace culture like. Another tip is make sure that you have everything all set up. I know that sounds silly, but have everything at your desk ready. Because if it's quite organized, you can get through the day better. And that was something I had to learn. I wasn't as organized as I am today. Um, the reduced work schedule helped me to become that organized, where I was Johnny on the spot with everything that could be anticipated that I needed for that day, kind of on my desk, or my files were like ready for that. Um, so you have to do a lot of forward thinking to prepare for what's needed for the day.
Okay, so when you say get your stuff organized, you mean like meeting prep,
Yes.
more so than like having kid stuff on your on your desk, or like having the
No, actually,
family
you know
part.
what? I'm fine with having kids stuff, but just have all your meeting, yeah, have all of it ready, like ready to go, as if you are presenting for the day. Just have everything you need. I know, and that's a tall ask, but I found it so much simpler for me to just have everything at hand ready. And that was something I had to learn, because in the office, you know, I did not operate like that. And so when I worked at home, I had to operate like that, because sometimes if she saw me moving from my desk, she would want, you know, my attention. And but if she saw me working, she was like, oh, mommy's at the computer. um and it would, you know, she wouldn't have the fit as much, because my mom was with me. My mom would watch her for me during the day when I was working. And it didn't matter if who was at the house. If mommy was there, she wanted me. And the same with my husband. If he was there, she wanted him. So if I'm starting my day or starting my meeting, I needed everything. Well, I wouldn't have to like keep getting up, keep popping up. That it just wouldn't work. And I think it's fine to have baby stuff shown in your meeting, because it shows that, hey, I had a baby, I have a child, I am a working parent. It is okay to show my things, not a whole bunch, right? But it's okay if they see it, or if it's present, or if they make a noise. I know in the beginning of my work from home, when Chloe would cry, I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. And then as I matured, I was thinking, you know, I'm not sorry. She's a baby. I'm working from home. And this is what happens. But I will manage the interjections that she is doing during my meeting. And that's when I created like the blocks, right? I need, okay, she sleep during this time. I'm just going to try and schedule my meetings during this time to minimize her interfering with the meeting. Because then you have to think of the other person on the other end, and they're like, oh, the baby's crying again, and I'm just trying to have this meeting done. So that's a real emotion people have, and rightly so, because you are working. So if we can manage how we set up our meetings, I think that works.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Qi.
You're welcome.
I think we're kind of gearing to the end. I just want to ask if people want to get in touch with you, Key, how can they go about that? Should they reach out on LinkedIn or over
Sure,
email?
you can definitely reach out on LinkedIn, or you can email me
Cool.
at
I can share that all in the follow-up
yeah.
email as
So
well,
yeah, they
so
can
that
email
it's
me, or LinkedIn works. I think that's a good source. Or you can just email me. Remember, I'll probably email you if you get an email at like 1 in the morning. That's because I'm on London time. It's not
time
that I'm
difference.
I'm some crazy lady that's emailing people at 2 and 3 a.m. No. It's just the time difference is it's just the time difference. So I think it's wonderful being a working parent. I think it's awesome if you have the privilege of being a parent. And then on top of that, the privilege of working, because I do believe that both you and your family will grow. I think it makes your career stronger. I think it creates a different kind of empathetic person when you're going into the workplace. I believe that it helps you manage conflict differently, because then you can, being a parent, you can understand and see sometimes why this person came to that conclusion, because in my mind, I always think, oh, but that's somebody's having a hissy fit. Somebody's being a child. And then I have to maneuver that. And how would I maneuver that? Not to belittle them, because children are little people, right? And how should I talk to this person to make sure that we all get the best outcome? To how do I encourage this person to make sure that we are successful in this project? It's the same way. So I do think the benefits of being a working parent in the workplace, and then from a workplace perspective, bringing some type of uh, uh, organization into your household. There's some things you can pick up from work that they do, and it's a good best practice that we can incorporate within the household. Like, one of our best practices um, was safety first. That's the thing Shell says, safety first. And when they were running or throwing things, I would say, safety first. We should be safe. So yeah, it worked. They would stop fighting each other, right? They would stop throwing things. They would stop sliding down the stairs. And I would say, now, is that safety? Are you being safe? We're going to do a stop work authority. And I don't know why I taught them that, because then they were stop work authority each other. Stop work authority. That means stop. You're being unsafe. So that was something I brought from work into my household. You can stop work authority. I have the authority to stop you from being unsafe. And it kind of backfired a bit till they like really understood it. But these are tips. I think you can give and take and give, being a working parent.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Key. This was such a great session. Thank you everybody for being here. I'll send a follow-up email with our YouTube channel and Key's contact information. But thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Key. This was great.
Thank you. You guys have a happy holidays.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.